to the show with your friend and mine. So tell me, Dr. Squee, who's it gonna be this time? We like to hear you talk, and we love to hear you listen. And if you are not subscribed, you won't know what you're missing. So welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Headphones up. Here we go. Welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. Tonight, Squee welcomes
Professor Elemental!
And now here's the man himself, Dr. Squee.
Hello and welcome to the Dr. Squee Show. I'm Dr. Squee and this is my show. Now, my guest tonight is having a few different issues with his video and audio equipment. He is just sorting out now. So what we're going to do, I will introduce him properly in a minute. We'll pretend we didn't know who it is. But we're going to go to one of his music videos, which he sent me. Like, we're going all high-tech and professional tonight. We've got music videos and everything. So we're going to go off to the music video. This is by my guest tonight, Professor Elemental, and this is the bar at the end of time. Please enjoy this.
Warning. Trouser malfunction. Trouser malfunction. So sorry about this, sir. Warning. Resetting for 1913, 12 AD,
2001, 2000, nothing.
in the edge of time. Did we have a lovely time?
Today we went to Margate.
Margate.
My God, we're outside of time itself. A swirling mass of colors and lights, abstractions and new dimensions. Terrifying, beautiful. Oh, look, there's a pub. The inn at the end of time. Well, I suppose it won't hurt to have a quick breather. Been on a tour, lost in time, not been here before. I mean, I've seen all sorts of things, but I'm sure a pub at the beginning of the end has me floored. From outside it looks sort of Tudor, but from another angle it could be from the future. Can't work out if it's bricks or made out of computers, but I can hear music inside. How super! I'm new to time travel and it is a bit lonely. Thrown me all over, maybe someone can show me how to get home or how to get Jeffrey. I step in, even I'm impressed. See, there's plenty of travellers all getting messy. Let me get these, we're all getting ready. The band's coming on. They look like they might rock. Here where the travellers come on a night off. It's the inn at the end of time. Time for a pint, all welcome fine. All time travellers are friends of mine. Everybody in at the end of the line. The inn at the end of time. Time for a pint, all welcome fine. All time travellers are friends of mine. Everybody in at the end of the line. It's our pleasure to introduce a super group with new music for you. Romana on percussion, Morlock on a sousaphone, Jules Verne on flute, Isaac Newton looking right at home. Hitchhikers have been guided here. Vikings and pirates sip finest beer, with Kang in competition imbibing by the gallons, while live and on stage it's the Wild Stallions. Time bandits decide to throw food. Ted Theodore Logan is like, whoa dude. And I haven't eaten since later this afternoon. I grab what I can and then dance like a loon. Hey! It's a party starter. Barman, get me a pan-galactic gargle blaster. Oh! And then it really gets trippy.
I think he might have slipped me a Mickey.
It's the inn at the end of time. Time for a pint, all welcome fine. All time travellers are friends of mine. Everybody in at the end of the line. The inn at the end of time. Time for a pint, all welcome fine. All time travellers are friends of mine. Everybody in at the end of the line.
Go back into time. Looking back like a time machine.
Let's travel at magnificent speeds around the universe.
Go back. Way back.
It's getting rowdy, a Yankee holding court, arguing with a couple of Cronenauts, and Sam Beckett's a little bit new in here. Spilled drinks on Doc Brown, doing cheers. Get another round, order new beers. It's truly weird, every night's New Year's. No day after, there can't be hangovers. In no time at all, there's nobody here sober. It's getting dicey, nobody knows who gave Gary Sparrow that bloody nose. Is there a doctor in the house? Oh, there's 9 or 10, 11. The barman shouts, and I shout, no there's not. And more came pouring in. Time bandits joyriding a DeLorean crashed into a TARDIS. Zaphod Beeblebrock shouts,
Party's over, someone called the time cops.
That was the inn at the end of time, not the bar at the end of time. Who would say that? Only a fool who was thrown off by their guest having technical issues. But anyway, we will never mind that now. You'll never guess who my guest is today. But he is a man who's sold out crowds around the world. He does events from festivals to sci-fi events to weddings and everything in between. And as he put it to me, I did check this. He is a professor of professoring and study professoring at the Reginald and Toby Blake University of Northern Babbling Brook and Bait Shop, having rightly been rejected from every other institute, which is convenient because I am a PhD in podcasting bullshit, and I got my degree at Big George's Bar and Grill, and university will say, if you say Dr. Squee sent you, you can get 10% off the vegan cauliflower chicken wings this Tuesday. Please welcome to the Dr. Squee Show, Professor Elemental. How are you doing, sir?
hello, it's working, everything's working again now. Oh, good, yeah, no, how are you?
I mean, the one thing which people aren't used to on this show is any technical difficulties. Wink.
Yeah, I'm sure it's super slick normally. Don't worry, I'm here to disrupt all of that. I've got my little earmuffs on instead of my helmet, and to be honest, I feel naked. I mean, I am mostly naked apart from the jacket, but I also feel naked.
Well, this is lovely. I mean, people who are watching this will have to imagine your nudity, but like this goes out on my radio show later. So people who are listening to this, just imagine he's naked. Like you don't have the visuals to get in the way.
It's a little bit of a late night treat, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Just sit back for a moment, close your eyes, and think of me resplendent, naked by the fire on a Thursday evening.
And if that isn't a start to an interview, I don't know what is.
It's the only way I start interviews. That's in my rider. At the top of my contract for every interview, it says must be allowed to talk about self being naked before interview begins. We've got that out of the way now. It's just a technicality. Now we can continue.
It's funny, wherever I play, they usually put it in the contract that I have to keep my clothes on. It's like they've learned from bitter experience.
Under
Yeah.
circumstances.
It's weird that.
So how are you doing? How are you surviving? How's it all going?
That was going to be my question to you. Yeah, it is the strangest of all times, but we're seeing some light in the darkness. I've got my first jab, and we're getting there. Things are starting to ease up. Tomorrow I actually get to see some family after a very long time. How about yourself?
That's nice. Yeah, that is beautiful, isn't it? The little things are the big things suddenly. But yeah, same. I got my first jab and spent a lot of time before and after imagining it was some kind of super soldier serum rather than something that made me feel really shit for a few days. But when I got my jab, I went, they had stickers, right? They had a load of stickers on the table saying I've had my jab. And I said to the chap, I said, well, obviously I'll be getting a sticker afterwards. And he gave me a look like it's been a really long day. Vaccinating people are saving lives. Why are you talking about stickers? Like, no, and he gave me my jab. And I sat there afterwards with a knowing look like, obviously won't be leaving until you've given me my... And the look he gave me, he was, honestly... I'm a man that needs the affirmation of a sticker saying I've done something well. And why have the stickers there if you're going to get cross with me?
Exactly. And look, we all want to do our part. We all want to make sure everyone's protected out there. We want to fight this evil scourge of COVID. Is it too much to ask that we get a sticker at the end of it?
Exactly. If it were up to me, we'd get stickers for everything. Everything you did. Paid your mortgage, get a sticker. Driven your kids to school, have a sticker.
I mean, they gave me a little bit of cotton wool just in case my arm bleed. It didn't, so I just pocketed it. And that's
that's
it.
the thing. You get yourself a free small tiny cloud that you can keep as a pet. Couple of googly eyes. That's the house of entertainment in my book.
You see, now I learned from the master. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I was a bit upset actually because everyone else is posting their photos with their little vaccination certificate saying that they've got. They didn't give me one. Because only when I was outside playing with my little bit of cotton wool, imagining it was a cloud, and just realised I didn't get one.
Are you sure you went to a legitimate vaccination hub and it wasn't just like some man in a tent doing it for
There was a
fun?
tent involved. There was a guy with a bottle of something. I didn't ask any questions. He put an injection to me. I woke up a couple of days later a bit delirious. I'm sure
That
it
sounds
was
a
all
little
fine.
bit last time I went to the Boomtown Festival.
Yeah, it wasn't in the hospital, but it was just around the corner in a dark alley. I assumed that was just part of the program.
I've got your vaccination here, pal. Come on through. Don't worry. There's no queue round here.
Did you meet him? That sounds exactly like him.
Yeah, Big Dave. He does all the vaccinations. Get to the head of the queue. We're never quite sure what it is, but I feel fantastic afterwards for a while.
Actually, it is my mate Dave, I do imagine, which, but bizarrely enough, actually, it's a funny coincidence. I had a picture in my head of my mate Dave, who you played the wedding of, Ali and Dave. So
yes, I remember that. Marvelous. Oh, I do miss a good wedding. And the kind of people that hire Professor Elemental for weddings are 9 times out of 10 complete nut jobs. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. So, like, if I was sort of doing a wedding band, you get some good ones, you get some bad ones. But most of mine are not only like really funny people, but they're having a really strange wedding. And even if they're not, there's like an aunt or uncle looking at me like, what the hell is Susan gotten herself into marrying this boy? It's great.
I mean, if anyone else uses the term nut job, we might take it as an insult. If it's you and I, we're just referring to our people.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a way of talking to your tribe, really, isn't it? That's absolutely true.
We're allowed to call them that. We're reclaiming the nut job term.
Nut job is such an old-fashioned thing to use as well, isn't it? I've noticed as I get into I'm getting into my mid-40s, I'm using slang that is older than I am for some reason. It's all becoming like, well, that'll be just brill. What's going on with me?
I'll wager that wouldn't be happening anytime soon.
And it's hard enough having the professor's voice like rabbiting in my ear as well. All kinds of odd Victorian slang comes out when I'm telling the children off.
Definitely. And by the way, anyone judging out there, it's 5 p.m. It's the long bank holiday weekend. It's totally fine.
Isn't it? It's the bank holiday weekend. That's nice. Have you got any plans?
Well, I mean, this was the first plan, obviously, but
that's all of our first plans, of course.
No, like I say, just some family in the garden, which is going to be nice. Like my stepdaughter, I've seen very briefly. Basically, I have joint custody of one of my dogs with my ex-wife, and my stepdaughter is actually my stepdaughter from previous marriage. But like I was in the kids' lives from when they were just young, so basically my kids. So basically, I've seen her briefly as she lets go of the dog at the door. I stand a safe 2 meters back.
Oh God! That is
say hi and then push the door at her. That's about all you can do at the moment. We want to so strictly
really
stick
good,
by
really
every
careful.
rule.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. It's going to be so nice to kind of break that seal and be like, finally.
Yeah. I'm not even going to slam the door on you. Just get around the back.
Yeah, exactly. I keep from a safe distance. Don't think we've gone further than that. I can see your face.
And the shortest possible route to the toilet, please. I'm 2 weeks into the jab. I'm waiting 3 before I'm any kind of more lax at all. And
it's
even
so
then,
true, isn't it? And there are still plenty of people quite understandably going, no, I ain't going outside. And I think more than a few pretending that they're scared of going outside, but actually just don't want to hang out with people anymore. Have realised that being on your own is actually quite nice. They just want to stick doing that.
Yeah, I mean, all my writer friends are just like, brilliant, so I don't have to see people. Result. Everyone's just on my page now.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird how immediately, like, I'm a bit scared going on social media though, because we're all on social media all the time. We've got nothing else going on. So if you sort of comment or start a conversation with something, suddenly it spirals out of control. I can get quite anxious realizing that I'm having 12 conversations and groups all at the same time. Like, too much people, get the people away. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
intense.
But nothing beats right now for me the other day, and I didn't realize how long it'd been since I went on a bus because I've been working from home. We got a park just by us, so that's the dogs taken care of. Like, so I just don't leave my little bubble area, if you like. I got on the bus to go to Pets at Home with my fiance and with the dogs, and just I was like, don't like it, don't like it, just don't like it, just no, just everyone just be farther away from me, please. Very weird, and that's a bus.
It's really, yeah, it's going to take a little bit getting used to, and I think it's all right to have a few wobbly moments. That's what I've realised. There's nobody that excited as we all are. I just think people shouldn't feel bad if they're also a bit anxious for whatever it might be their reason, or a bit nervous of it, because it's kind of doing it in incremental stages. As you say, going on a bus suddenly feels like you're in a mosh pit in an unfamiliar club at midnight. It's like it could be terrifying. So you get that. Yeah,
I used to do that in an unfamiliar club at midnight. Now the bus scares me. I mean,
what have we become? There are so many things like that, aren't there?
Anyone who didn't already like kind of the outdoors and a lot of people, I really feel for them. And like you say, this is actually important for all of us to say as much as we can. It is okay not to be okay. Either now, when you go out there, it is all fine. Don't worry if you don't feel comfortable straight away. Take baby steps.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of, for some people feel a lot of pressure, like, oh my God, I should be making plans and seeing all of the people and doing all of the stuff. And that can be just a hugely overwhelming thought. And just taking it small. Start with a little Twitch stream and then move on to have a cup of tea in person.
And if you want a good Twitch stream to watch, there is always the Dr. Squee Show or Professor Henry-Pool or our friend Level Up Leroy.
I should say to anybody watching this, I'm going to do I'm getting into streaming just as everybody starts going out again. But I've been doing a little cup of tea on about 4 o'clock on Instagram Live. I'm chatting to Mr. B tomorrow. I put it off from last week. So yeah. Come and have a cup of tea with us, and I'm going to see if I can be really well behaved and just not say rude things to him for half an hour.
I've got it, since you brought it up. One of my favorite one of your tracks, Fighting Trousers to begin with, but then the whole kind of arc of the rap battle was just amazing between you and Mr. B. How do you go about? How do you go about the writing process? Who writes what? Who kind of puts what in? Do you kind of go, right, I'm releasing this track, you release something more? How do you do that?
Well, we're pretty separate. When it comes to writing that one, I think we bounced it back and forth. And I based it on there's a Muppet Show sketch on the first Muppet Show album where Stellar and Waldorf were going, that was terrible. No, actually, it was quite good. Actually, I thought it was amazing. And we kind of did that in the rap battle song where we're going to start out being horrible and then we'll start being really, really nice to each other. But I always slightly regret that song because I felt so bad about Fighting Trousers, and I'd carried the guilt with me for so long because Jim turned out to be such a nice chap. I kind of held back on the battle track, and then I had loads of people on YouTube going, "Oh well, our professor lost that one in the end." I'm like, no, I was trying to be nice, damn it! I could have gone harder.
It sounds to me, Professor, like there's unfinished business here. It sounds like someone should be having a rematch. I don't mean to be the man kind of stoking the fires here, but B, if you're listening, just saying.
This is the hard thing about it, though. Like, I spend a lot of time crafting songs and shows that are specifically designed to make people feel as good as possible. Like, if I get them out of the audience, I want them to feel good and happy and positivity and to, embrace everybody. Great stuff. But as soon as I do a single verse that's horrible and just saying, you smell, people are like, oh, that's the best thing you've ever done. You've been wasting your time up until now. So it's really hard not to take cheap hot shots at people just for a few likes.
I think it was easy to tell, though, and I don't know what your previous relationship together was, but it certainly felt like listening to it, because I sort of caught up with you a bit late when this was kind of all kind of had happened, and it just felt so sibling rivalry in nature. It didn't seem mean. It just seemed like teammates winding each other up, which is what I think people respond to. If it was actually mean or nasty, that's not fun anymore. And what you guys sell in your songs is fun and whimsy.
That's true. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, and I think the family aspect, because it's so tiny, chat pop. Like, I just being in the genre. There's 4 fucking people doing it. Pardon my French. 4 people. It is not caught on. It's not popular. It never. That's as big as it's going to get. But because there's only 4 of us, Mr. B's kind of slightly like my big brother. I'm a bit of a pain in the arse. And then Madam Misfits is horrible to me all of the time. The sort of the young upstart to the chap hop world, and vice versa. And then I'm really horrible to her as well. And then and Thomas is just sort of the cool one, just sort of sits and observes it all. But I like that. I like the idea of a dysfunctional family. It's going to be my sitcom idea.
I couldn't believe it when I heard there was more than one. Like, oh, have you heard the other chap hop artist? What do you mean the other chap hop artist? There is no way there's more than one person doing this. There's no.
Why is there even one person doing it?
Hey, I didn't say that. I very much enjoyed the fact that one person doing it. When I found out there was four, I was over the moon, but just surprised.
I know it took us by surprise as well. I'm gonna turn it into a sitcom idea. Could you imagine a 70s style sitcom of all of us having to do a house share?
Although, which of you came up with the kind of idea of chap hop, and where did it kind of originate?
I would like to now sort of spin a yarn about how it was definitely me and it was Mr. B. But the truth of it is, we both came up with it exactly the same time. He may have coined the phrase first, but it was like exactly the same time, completely by accident. We started in the same town as well. No wonder I thought the bastard was copying me. I thought that's too much of a coincidence. I'm having a pop at that. Turns out it was a coincidence.
Do you want to shout out your town?
Brighton, sweet Brighton town. I mean, Brighton's where I live, but Ipswich will always have my heart. Sweet, forgiving Ipswich.
Do you want to say anything pandering about Southampton, seeing as we're recording from here?
It has Southampton is the source of a number of chain restaurants that you can or can decide not to go to. That's about as much as I've found out, and I've been there many, many times. Oh no, the art house. The art house is in Southampton, and that's the best place in the world. That's my favourite place to do shows ever, and you should all go to the art house. It's lovely.
Very true. You may have found the one chink in our chain restaurant armour here.
I've spent a lot of time exploring Southampton with like time on my hands before a show. I'm going to see what Southampton has to offer. I'm going back now, back into the hotel room.
I mean, look, the motto of Southampton is, meh, it's not Portsmouth. And Portsmouth, by the way, the reverse motto. So I'm not having a part in Portsmouth. I'm not trying to stoke that old rivalry.
I've had some terrifying nights out in Portsmouth. Something always goes wrong for me in Portsmouth. I'll end up in like a sort of a dungeon. In a couple of times I've ended up in a strange dungeon with an old man trying to convince me to get up to terrible things in a peculiar club. Just like, no, I'm probably going to head back now. That's a bit much. Portsmouth has got a lot going on under the ground.
I feel like they do whatever Southampton does to the extreme. So where we've got beautiful scenic views and lovely kind of areas around the pier and everything, they're beautiful here in Southampton. Portsmouth may actually beat us. Their port side is absolutely lovely. When you go to the Spinnaker Towers, it looks absolutely beautiful. I will say, when you go to the rough places in Portsmouth, though, oh boy, you'll wish you're in Southampton. I'm just saying.
so true. Like, yeah, it's a kind of edginess that I used to really embrace when I was first doing the Professor. Like, well, this kind of act should never work somewhere like this. But now I've played in a few places and it really hasn't worked in somewhere like that. I'm like, that's enough of that experience. That's plenty of that. It's kind of the same with Bristol and Brighton. Bristol is like the kind of more real version of Brighton, because Brighton's all a little bit pretentious and we've got a new waffle shop opening up next to the ice cream parlour, and Bristol's a bit more like, let's do some ketamine and smash up Tesco's. But they kind of they've got a sort of similarity, but Bristol's more full on.
I think Bristol and Brighton, which you mentioned before, like, I think you just add a little bit of extra whimsy onto it and a little less fear than Portsmouth. You've got there.
I think there's a sprinkling of whimsy here, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm going to look. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to, seeing Brighton like bounce back into life with all of its eccentricities and fringe shows and things. It's going to be gorgeous.
And for you, I mean, what has it been like going from, you had a pretty heavy touring schedule to just being home all the time? And does that breed any fear about kind of going on stage again? I've had loads of people who I know performers who are actually worried about kind of just stepping on the stage again and doing it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, it was, yeah, like everybody else, kind of adapted into this new weird sort of admin life. It was all of the exciting fun of the Professor been like stripped back, leaving only the hardcore of administration that is required to keep it afloat. Wow, this isn't what I signed up for, but I've been really lucky just like been so lucky. People have sort of supported me throughout it. There's definitely been. I'm not scared about getting back on stage, but I definitely had a lot of fear about. Oh well, that's it. That's it. It's all over now. They won't want me. They'll open up again, and no one will ever book me again. And they'll go, "Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that trouser T guy. I'm done with him." But I had a lot of that kind of imposter syndrome. But the gigs are coming back in now, and it's going to be fine. Probably, it should be fine.
The trouser T guy. If that isn't on a t-shirt for you sometime soon.
Exactly. But that's when my merchandising gets really lazy. You know me. I'm the trouser T bloke. Get a cup of tea. That's that sort of stuff. Just have that
In brackets, has Monkey Butler.
Yeah. That's the 3 things you need to know.
Speaking of which, yeah, let's get on to Jeffrey there. Like, how?
Don't get on to Jeffrey. That makes him very cross.
I heard he enjoyed it, but that's another story. How? What? Where? Why Monkey Butler? I love it, but just go Monkey Butler.
This is what I like about creative things, how tiny things can expand into ridiculous, like, whole worlds. Like, that was just a throwaway line in the very first song. It was the Professor song, but there was no such thing as a professor. They just said, "I've got a pet orangutan with a mechanical eye." And then I did a show and got a toy monkey and put the mechanical eye in and kept pointing it at people. And then it kind of expanded into this sort of living, breathing character, and a perfect foil for the professor's sort of wackiness to add a chaotic orangutan on top. It was really satisfying.
I do remember one sci-fi weekend, which is one of the gigs which both me and the professor have been known to frequent. And there was this guy who was kind of trying to sort out getting backstage. It was one of the ones where they had some very, very, let's just say, efficient security men. And he was going, it's like, I'm with the professor, I'm sort of the monkey.
I can remember that, and he wasn't allowed in, and it all went wrong. That was actually my worst moment in the whole sci-fi weekenders I've ever done. I've done loads of them, and my friend brought his monkey suit, and I got caught up in rehearsing, so I forgot to tell him to let him in. And I was halfway through the show, and I just saw him in the crowd like a forlorn Jeffrey, and it was there was no way of getting him up on stage, which is what he'd come to do, and it was. Yeah, I've never felt more guilty about letting a monkey down. And I've let a few monkeys down, I can tell you that, over the years.
Yeah, it's not a new experience. It's just the worst one.
It's the worst one. Normally you don't really care, but this one, it keep.
Okay, we're going to have some more monkey shines. See what I did there in a moment. But let's hear another track. So in together, let's go with next. Do you want to intro the track? What do you want people to know about this one?
Oh, I wrote this without thinking about it, which is the best way to write songs, and it's probably the song that most people have given me nice feedback about. It's sort of the first time I really approached the idea of just inclusivity, particularly in the world being a nerd, and how beautiful it is when you find tribe. Don't be sad. Don't be nervous either. There's no need. We love you just the way you are. Come on in, join the rest of us. We're all in here. Yes. Oh, it's going to be a lovely night. You're not the tallest or the strongest or the fastest or the cleverest. Legends last long but not forever, so remember this. We're all together, so don't be frightened. He who knows least is most enlightened. It might be that ignorance is bliss. It's inherently ridiculous we even exist. So why be inconspicuous? A reasonable risk just to give it all in. It's as easy as this. Isn't that all better than a call centre till it's all pallbearers? We're all aware of all of life's pleasures and how little time's left. Let's all hoard treasure. Set sail, all crew, all weathers. Odd individuals look awesome together. Everybody gather together. We're gonna have a group shot. Oh yes. Celebrate your oddities, your worth, your sexuality. Celebrate your urges, celebrate humanity. Celebrate your fetishes, my message is clear. There's no such thing as normal, everybody's weird. Celebrate your oddities, your art, your own insanity. Celebrate your birth, celebrate humanity. Celebrate your everything, and let me be clear. There's no such thing as normal, everybody's weird. Don't be beaten by the bullies or the bigots or the bosses or the system or the sods in all their boxes and in offices. Don't let the silly sausages say your mission is preposterous. Accomplish it, and if they demolish it, polish it, climb on top. Life is yours to conquer. Plant your flag, roar like a monster. Hooray for small joy, rise and shine. Make time for a lion, make time for wine. Make time time for fine nights, it's our ship to charter. Nobody's on their deathbed wishing they worked harder. More wagging, less barking, all in the spotlight, none in the margins. More unicorns and a lot less trolls. We'll never rest and we'll never get old. We'll never get gold, but the air's so fresh. Just be you, I'm incredibly impressed. Celebrate your oddities, your worth, your sexuality. Celebrate your urges, celebrate humanity. Celebrate your fetishes, my message is clear. There's no such thing as normal, everybody's weird. Celebrate your oddities, your art, your own insanity. Celebrate your birth, celebrate humanity. Celebrate your everything, and let me be clear, there's no such thing as normal, everybody's weird. Oh yes, you see? There! Feel better, everybody's weird. Everybody has their strange side. Deep inside, none of us really grew up. There's no such thing as a grown-up. It's all imaginary. So with that in mind, you take my hand, let's go off together. Oh yes. All in together now. All in together. All in together now. Move you like a shoe. All in together now. All in together. All in together now. Move you like a shoe. Don't be beaten by the bullies or the bigots or the bosses or the system or the sods in all their boxes and in offices. Don't let the silly sausages say your mission is preposterous. Accomplish it, and if they demolish it, repolish it. Climb on top. That was so nice to see.
Oh, I love it. And yeah, what a lovely message of inclusivity. That's what we love to kind of support and kind of put out here. There is just something so wonderful and something I don't think you get on the same level of just everyone welcome at these kind of weird and wonderful sci-fi events.
Absolutely. I think that's what a lot of people have been missing, particularly who don't have, friends with the same interests in the vicinity and like the geographical vicinity. Yeah, there's something very beautiful about hooking up with so many people who are operating on the same level. And you can't, and cliche as it is, you just that feeling that you can talk to anybody, no matter how sort of awkward you might feel in other situations. There's just, it's like everybody can just take off all their pretense and just have a good chat. It's lovely.
And I do love your act for that. I love the fact that it's, professional and mental, it's just this weird and kind of like everyone's welcome world. I feel like if anyone doesn't like it, and by the way, they're wrong if they don't, but if anyone doesn't like it, they've at least got to kind of admire the beauty of the mission of it. How do you start first with the professor? Was that kind of, how did the character start as a professor? How do you kind of like get that going?
He just sort of popped out like fully formed. It was one of those like once in a lifetime things for me. It was gorgeous. Like my friend Tom Caruana, who makes all the music, and without whom there couldn't possibly be any rapping from me. He was doing a concept album of loads of different rappers doing different time periods. And being rappers, most of them just didn't get around to doing it. They just, just fell by the wayside. But I did the Victorian one. It was so satisfying, and I struggled for so long, sort of trying to perfect like a bit of a London accent because that's what all the other rappers did. I was like, no, I could go the other way. I'll just sound even more middle class. In fact, I'll sound beyond middle. I'll sound posh. And that was so it fitted nicely.
And on the earlier album covers, you've kind of got like looks more like a circus ringleader. Did you have the khakis from the beginning, or was that something which evolved?
I stole them from a flatmate, I think, because there was somebody doing like a Victorian variety show, and it sounded really like ramshackle and a bit rubbish. I was like, I want a bit of that. It's kind of he had the safari suit, and I bought the hat in a mysterious shop that I never saw again, and just did it a little just to see what it'd be like to do something in character. And now I'm trapped in this character for the rest of my days, like some kind of terrible monkey's paw.
Ironically, did you get it off Jeffrey?
Like Jeffrey, I'm trapped with Jeffrey's monkey's paw for all days. Well, there was me wishing that I could somehow make a living as a rapper. Now I can, but at a terrible cost. And it's Jeffrey.
And at that time, because I know now there is a great scene for all these wonderful gigs, and if anything, it's kind of tough for sci-fi events to kind of garner an audience because there are so many of them. But it wasn't always the way. At the time, was there lots of places where you could take this act on the road? How was it building up the kind of following?
That's a very good question as well. It was the fact that steampunk had suddenly become a thing And that made all the difference in the world, that there was, you know, a couple of American people that would take me on. And then realizing that actually it was such an odd act that you could just put it wherever odd acts lived. So I did quite a lot of sort of fetish nights and the anime conventions and comic conventions, just odd things. Just wherever he shouldn't be, that's where I liked to put him the most. I did a couple of metal nights where all the other bands were metal, and there was just me going, "Hello, I've got some trousers," and I loved it. I love that. It makes it all the more funny.
What's the best and worst reaction you got from some of those early gigs at those weird ones?
A friend had to stop me from being beaten up once because people hated me so much, and I didn't realize as well. I was like, oh, that was fun. I think we should go, Paul. Really? I don't think so. Let's stick around a while. No, Paul, I think we should probably go now. Found out they was going to kick me in for being so terrible. But on the plus side, when it's gone right, you know, I think there's a club called Club Antichrist, which on the face of it, on the website, you could look at and just think, oh my God, that looks terrifying. But actually, it's full of really nice, very kooky, kinky people. And I've done a few gigs there. And because it is so unusual, me in my pith helmet, surrounded by loads of people in kind of latex and unusual fancy dress, that's probably some of the happiest I've ever been on stage going, well, look where I've ended up. This is marvelous.
And were you always so confident with the character? Because there is definitely no kind of break in the Professor act. Whenever I've seen you, did you always feel like that just at home with it? Did it always just come that naturally?
Yeah, because increasingly, again, part of the curse is there's an old saying in sort of show business, apparently, like for people who act one character, the mask burns the face. And that's really stayed with me, in that there is really no Professor character anymore. I have become him. He's become me. My wife is terrified and disgusted. My children are confused. But I am basically just the Professor all the time now. And it's always kind of been me when I'm excited anyway. And I think the two things have just blurred together.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And what was it like at the fetish night? I've got to ask. You brought it up.
It's like everything else, though. It's like if people said, "Oh, what's it like at a furries convention or a bronies convention or something that you've never been to?" You would think, "Oh my God, that sounds like pretty strange stuff right there." But of course, it's just people dressed up, and it's people dressed up who shed their innocence as well. So they tend to be as friendly and nice. It's almost exactly the same as the Sci-Fi Weekender, except slightly hotter.
I guess I'm always just curious how seriously they take it, because at the Sci-Fi Weekender and the sci-fi events, we all know it's kind of all just love and fun, and just everyone's just the best version of themselves. It feels like just everyone's just free. And a lot of these other events I know are like that, but you get the occasional ones where they take it very, very seriously. Yes. You guys like, oh, whips and chains. They go, no, whips and chains. Okay.
I don't think that happens very often in England, though, because England is inherently not a very sexy country. We are not a sexy people, if you know, just generally. And I think we can only approach stuff like that with humor at the best of times. So I think that's what makes it good, that no one takes it too seriously and everyone's having a nice time. But you can say that about everything. It's the same with our fandom. You know, we don't, you know, for the most part, people don't get too on their high horse. I might be speaking out of turn there. Whereas, yeah, I've definitely been to a few American conventions where people take steampunk incredibly seriously, or get or that their thing is that they're really into the history of it, or some aspect that I might sort of struggle to stay interested in. Yeah, that could be a challenge sometimes. But then you've got to respect everybody comes at things from their own angles, don't they?
It's true enough, and I do try and keep that in mind, because even as I was saying that, I could think of an example. There was this great one where, actually, again, at Sci-Fi Weekender, we're not sponsored, I promise, but there we go. We love it. I was at the Sci-Fi Weekender. I was talking to the Pan Man, Martin Croft. I don't know why I do the motion of the pan on the head, like
it doesn't look good, to be honest.
Well, it's just like that needs explaining anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
He's called the Pan Man. He wears a Pan Man's head, does a Dalek impression. Wonderful bloke. We were chatting though, and he goes, and this is about the time when Jodie Whittaker had been announced as the Doctor. He goes, "Oh, what do you think about that?" And I was about to go, "Well, I'm okay with it. I think it's great. Yeah, whatever." So I said, "Well," and there was this voice which just came from yonder off and just went, "No, mate. Like you're welcome to join a conversation, but no one actually asked you. I was specifically asked a question. You want to join our conversations in nicer ways." So I do know in any group, you can get someone who takes it a little too seriously.
Yeah, and that can definitely, spoil it for spoil it for everybody else. But for the most part, and I quite enjoy those kind of moments, particularly at Sci-Fi Weekend, because you get some sort of D-list movie stars and things that completely believe their own hype. It's not really the fans that I ever noticed being kind of a bit too arrogant. It's sometimes the guests, and they are either so supremely Sylvester McCoy lovely, or they are an absolute Buck Rogers nightmare. And I've seen and dealt with both. Buck Rogers particularly. There was a very strange energy between me and Buck Rogers. It was uncomfortable every time we talked. He was like a really manly uncle, and I was like his disappointing nephew. The whole thing was just peculiar.
Okay. And tell us about it. So, like me, you grew up on all this. This is mother's milk, this sci-fi goodness.
Yeah.
What have been some of the kind of meets which have meant the most to you doing all these wonderful events?
Oh, I think interviewing. Oh my God, what's his name? How have I forgotten his name? How have I forgotten his name? The Brian Blessed, man, Brian Blessed. Interviewing Brian Blessed, that was probably the most excited that I've been in terms of like meeting somebody. And I met Stan Lee when I was a kid, and I was over the moon about that. They're probably my two best sort of meets. But generally, it's kind of it's the hilarity of being backstage with, I don't know, a member of Status Quo, the bloke who plays R2D2, 2000 AD artist who's off his head, and some other random person who I've not met before. That is those combinations of unusual people that you get, particularly at sci-fi things. It's just hilarious. I find, where else do you get those kind of those kind of combos?
I was at the signing which Brian Blessed was doing at one of the Sci-Fi Weekenders, and he was sat there at his table. He was kind of holding court, telling these stories. And it got to this point between people going in now, because I was doing press, so I just, to be honest with you, I was just kind of cheekily trying to say hi to him in between times. I always make sure I don't get in the way of anything. If I can get a quick interview with him, all the better. But he sort of said to me in between kind of people coming over to the table, because they come over in groups with their VIP passes. He goes like, "Does that sound okay? Is this kind of the thing you people want?" And it's like, it was this wonderful moment, because Brian Blessed generally is exactly how you think Brian Blessed would be.
Absolutely.
But it was just such a human moment of him going, "Am I doing all right? Is this okay?" And you just suddenly realize underneath Brian Blessed is just the same as all of us. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know if we're doing the right
important thing. It's the most important lesson you could possibly learn, that like the coolest person you know is a complete mess as well. It's so sort of freeing when you just go, oh, everybody is nervous, everyone's terrified all the time, everyone thinks they've got it wrong or done it better. And once you know that, you're kind of free to make your mistakes a bit more. Forgive yourself. I think that's the key. You just got to be ready to mess things up and then forgive yourself when you get it wrong, like everybody else does.
I think definitely. It just made me as if I couldn't love Brian Blessed anymore. Just he managed it. He managed it by being just a little bit more human.
Yeah, they're the good ones. I think, and generally you notice it when you see people being interviewed that you like. It's those people who give quite a lot of themselves, isn't it? You kind of, share their actual experience being there. I don't know. There's you can tell when it's sincere, and you can tell when it's just someone popping along for the money or to promote their latest whatever.
And we won't give any names, although we could.
I know. I really stopped myself there from turning into some kind of awful gossipy nerd. Well, I tell you one thing. I once chatted to.
Because that's the other thing I try and remind myself as well. I have interviewed people which have not been fun interviews. I'll say that, and I've seen other people have kind of negative fan experiences. But you got to remember, these are humans as well. They could just be having a real shit day.
Exactly.
That's very possible.
That's so true. Everybody. Nobody's good all the time, and we've all had days where we're a bit off. You're just doing it in front of an awful lot of people. So yeah, you have to be quite forgiving, and I think you have to be quite forgiving of people generally at the moment when people are a bit rude or getting all a bit close, and you're going, "Oh, you're all idiots. Why are you all idiots?" Everyone's a little bit kind of edgy still, so you got to be quite quick to forgive.
Yeah, and I always think the correct response when I kind of like am there face to face with an interviewee, either across the internet like this or in person, they go, so Dr. Squee, what is it you do? And that is the correct response to me. I have no objection.
That is all right, isn't it? What is this? Why am I here again?
Yeah, man in his early 40s calling himself Dr. Squee. Explain yourself. Fine, that is exactly the correct response to me.
It's good to get a doctor and a professor together. A doctor and a professor.
Exactly.
Two professionals, absolutely outstanding in their respective fields of whatever it is, finally meeting.
Exactly. Together at last, I believe they've been saying.
Oh, people have been waiting for this moment. Finally, it's
The
here.
amount of scholars watching right now. Ooh.
I mean, 2020 and 2021 haven't been great for a lot of people, but just I think knowing that this interview was going to happen at some point, I think it's kept a lot of people going.
I mean, some said the brain trust, though some may be on this stream right now, but that's another story.
Exactly, sir. Ah, marvelous.
I did quickly want to get onto as well. Like, you've literally traveled the world doing this. What kind of some of the places you've been to, and how well does the professor, which is so quintessentially British and English, how does that go down the rest of the world?
Oh, it's generally quite nice again because it's quite a weird thing, you know. I did played inside a mountain in Sweden and like kind of sleazy cafes in Paris, or just I've been lucky enough to travel all over the place. I did do a series of gigs in Cambodia, which came about very unusually, and probably one of the worst. This is worse than the bloke who wanted to beat me up that I didn't know about. I did a gig in Cambodia. It's kind of big kind of auditorium, and I'd done my main show. The guy brought me over there, and I was backstage. We were just watching the gig because it was the sort of Cambodian equivalent of Beyonce. Like a couple of thousand kids watching her, and it was really good. And then the guy who was promoting that show and promoting me said, "All right, Paul, while you're here, why don't you go on next?" And I said, "But she's the main act, and she's like, like a pop star." And I'm me. I don't know if that's the best idea because like before I could do it, but after would be weird. And she finished with like lights, explosions, and smoke, and then the DJ sort of stuck on Everything Stops for Tea, and I sort of came prancing out unannounced. Hello, everybody. And when I started, I don't know what it was exactly culturally that was so very bad, but people literally ran away. And there was like a lot of people in that room. Some of them and genuinely, some of the children started crying. And standing there in a huge shed in Cambodia, I feel, well, this is about as far as I could take this.
Fantastic. We're like running out of time, so we're going to go to our final video before I just have a bit more of a chat with you. This is the Cat's Pajamas. Tell us about this one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is with Mr. Frisbee. I've got an album with him coming out next, actually. And yeah, this is a nice song. This is for you. This is whoever you are that's hearing these words. This is dedicated to you for making it through the last year. Well done. Oh, hello. There we are.
Only just a small clip of that. I will try that again. I don't know if it'll play, if there's an error on the video, or if I've just pressed the wrong button. But let's try that again. Now, if you enjoyed that repeated 10 seconds of that track, please check it out wherever you stream.
Please feel free to watch the full version at somewhere.
I don't know. I will admit, I have to use a kind of compression device to kind of get this onto here. So obviously something's gone wrong with that. And I, like a bull, did not check it. Hey!
Oh, Christ, everything's fine. Well, you can still watch it on the YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. I imagine you've got the internet. Everything's going to be fine. You can catch up with it there. I'm sadly going to have to go because my child sense is tingling. And I don't mean that in the sinister way that it came out, but more that my own kids I know need to see me before bedtime so I can shout at them to get in their child cage and shut up.
That sounds very good. Sir, just very quickly, before you do go, though, where can they check you out online? You've got kind of albums, you've got a few podcast episodes, which we'll have to talk about another time. Where can they check that all out?
Oh, the hub for it all is either professorelemental.com or on Patreon. I spend a lot of time on Patreon, having a nice time there. And it's just patreon.com/professorelemental.
Streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you stream or buy your music, please do get it now. It's absolutely wonderful. Professor Elemental, thank you very much for joining me today. This has been absolutely wonderful fun.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute genuine pleasure. Thanks, chum.
hopefully we'll meet again in the real world. Please check out our stream tomorrow as well with Mr. B, the Gentleman Rhymer. Sorry, is that on Twitch?
That guy as well. Yes. Oh, that. Yeah. So yeah, come and join us. And it's going to be 4 o'clock on Instagram Live.
It's GMT. Sorry, BST. BST. We're on BST. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I'm Dr. Squee. That was my show. And remember, guys, where you can be anything, please be kind. See you later. If you're still watching this, very quickly, go over to SW20 where my friend Matt Lees is broadcasting live now. See you later, guys.
Bye.